Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eike Sky, and tonight alongside me we have Baćo. Welcome along, as always, to the Apex Online Racing Assetto Corsa Formula 3 League. From tonight from Vallelunga, round 4, we're back to the dual headers. And Mali, what do we have in store for us tonight?
Good evening, Ike. Good evening, YouTube. We are back at Vallelunga. It's one of rare tracks that we have visited in both of the previous seasons, and I'm surely more than excited to be back again at this track, which is located just north of Rome. We are surely going to see some fierce competition, as Vallelunga does offer long straights but does not offer many overtaking points, so it will be, and I'm hoping it to be, elbows out and some great racing for the night.
Absolutely. The drivers just going out on their qualifying laps. I have forgotten all of my keybinds to try and actually get to the cars as they're circulating. There we go. I knew it was that button. Assetto Corsa is the car we're going to be following for the time being, as he runs down the hill towards the right hand. Let's go on to the track cameras. Now, this Vallelunga circuit we had last season out, and it was a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to the action, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I believe this was one of the first races that you co-commentated with me.
No, I think this is the last race I raced.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I'm not sure, because I remember I had an amazing crash here coming out of the turn 4, then taking the track too wide, only to find a sausage curb on the outside of the corner, and that sent me flying while I was fighting, I think, for top 3. So
that sounds about typical, isn't it?
Yeah, Vallelunga is all about avoiding these sausages, because if we are watching Assetto Corsa,
yep,
we could have seen him going through Sector 3, which is really tight. But let's jump on board and we will come to that. So we are running down the very long mix of corners, left, right and left. This is where you will be opening DRS, and main attacking point is the long right-hander, actually a double right-hander, but one will take it as a U-turn. And on the outside of turn 4 we are finding a track going wider and taking us to a shorter straight, but long enough to make some moves for another right-hand U-turn, as Daniel Fernandez finds the rear of his car too light. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Alex.
That was Assetto Corsa. Danny Fernandez. Yes. Danny Fernandez is a car I've just jumped on board with as he comes back in towards the stadium section. Right-hand hairpin manages to get the car tucked in, and this is where it gets a little bit more complex and tight, and you have to be very careful with if and where you make your moves, isn't it?
Exactly. So what you will going to be watching all night long is how these front wheels get close to sausage curbs, especially in Sector 3. So are we doing another lap? Let's
follow Danny Fernandez as the car in front of him gets out of his way. Saab jumping right out of the way there for him. Mali, take us away.
So once again we're coming to the double right-hander at the end of a very long and fast mix of turns and straights, taking full throttle, then going to much wider but short straight, which is giving us a nice overtaking point come the hairpin to the right. Third gear, so then is actually slowing down to second to open up on a short straight, which is unfolding somewhat blind hairpin to the left, so very slow and very tight to take. Coming to Sector 3, we are now watching a series of hairpins as Daniel Fernandez should take them really, really tight, coming as close to the sausage curb as possible. Now check this out. It's amazing, but only one line and you have to sit behind the car who's in front of you. Then coming to a left-right chicane, really risky on the exit of that one, and coming into the right U-turn to end this lap of Vallelunga. It's about 1 minute and 20 something seconds, so it's a short lap relatively.
Yep.
And it's a challenging one.
Yes. Sorry,
we will mostly, I'm sure we will see some fights. We were left off back when we were at Silverstone. Just to remind you, we are back in our regular format of 2 half-an-hour races, 30 minutes races. The second one being started as a reverse top 10 order. So the race 2 will be the one where drivers get relaxed as they know the track and the car. That's a mistake by Alex Torgrosa there. Coming too close to the curbs, actually closer than he should have gone. So this is the specific challenge of Vallelunga for sure. But let me just finish. So the first race will be decided, the grid for the first race will be decided by this qualifying we're watching now, and the second race grid will be in a reverse top 10 order, something which we are really, really excited to see.
Yeah, absolutely. The history of reverse grids in AOR is normally that the drivers who won the first race or placed high in the top in the first race never really seem to enjoy it. But if they have a bad race and end up finding themselves on pole, they generally tend to change their tone slightly. Who else have we got out on track at the moment? John Deere car gets a massive amount of oversteer through the double right-hander at the bottom of the grid, runs wide, will return to the pits. No harm, no foul. But this track's a bit more complicated than it appears on the surface. I've run races around here in the past, and it's very, very bumpy, even in the bigger, softer, more heavy cars that you can drive in Assetto Corsa. These Formula 3 cars must bounce around like ping pong balls on a table.
Yeah, surely do. Especially Sector 3 is really challenging as you go left, right, hairpins, slow corners, and then you're just being surprised, may I say, by some bumps here and there. And this is really what's being challenging. But I surely cannot imagine running any bigger cars than Formula 3 running around here, especially through that Sector 3. I don't know. If we look at, let's say, the BMW M6 GT3 or M8 GTE, I think that cars would require a 3-point turn just to make the corner on some occasions.
You can make it happen. You know me, I don't drive BMWs anyway.
Well,
but
not me.
No, absolutely. But these, the drivers are going to be in for a ride. We hope that they have their force feedback turned down tonight, because they are going to struggle otherwise, especially when they're in the draft of other drivers. As we have eyes on... who is it? I was expecting it to be highlighted and it wasn't. It's Alan that we're watching as he locks up going into the double right-hander at the bottom of the racetrack. Wow.
He found that sausage I found in last season. That's the one, yeah. So if we jump on board with... I want to show this sausage curb to you. Let's jump on board with Sarv. Now, as he leaves the second right-hander, look to the left. That sausage is so misplaced badly. Like,
oh no!
What's it doing there? What is it there for?
It's to prevent corner cutting.
But what corner cutting? It's a fast straight. It's nothing. You know. It's.
Oh, absolutely.
It's rubbish. It's ridiculous. And I actually found that I hit it so badly that I ruined my race. And I was blinded by a car in front, so
Yeah.
I just never noticed that sausage. And, well, frankly, if we ask some drivers come the end of this race if they noticed it, um, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them said they didn't.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. There we go. Oh, that one. Yep, so Sav coming through the last sector now. One more corner for him to negotiate to try and get his time bettered. Don't have any live timings up, unfortunately, but across the line. Oh, that was his. Oh no, that was a lap time set, and he was slower. I wonder if he's going to carry on for another flying lap. It looks like he is at the moment.
Well, he did improve his lap time, giving him a 124.76, while Clive Allen had a 124.722.
Yeah.
It's a very tight gap to P8, but there is a huge gap to P7, as Mislav Bago is half a second quicker than Clive Allen, so that's a lot of time to be gained. But luckily, if you navigate Sector 3 properly, you will gain a lot of time, and I hope Sar will devote himself to this particular set of corners he's right now coming down to. Meanwhile, I'm looking at the results, and I can see Alex Torgrosa and Daniel Fernandez are once again fighting very hard for the pole. Only 12 one-thousandths of a second separating them.
Yep.
So it's 122.890 compared to 122.902. So once again, these two guys are taking the edge, not only ahead of everyone else, but also in a fight between themselves. Sar is coming across the line, 124.376 improves to P7 and looks like retire to the pits. I guess he will do a quick one, quick low fuel run, as Daniel Fernandez is going wide into the gravel, and he will restart his flying lap. Tim Eintenma at P5 currently, 0.765 behind Alex Torgrosa, but only 2/10 behind Sam Butters. Let's see if Tim Eintenma improves. Very well seasoned driver, and has raced around this Italian track, well, third time now in Formula 3, so he surely knows the ins and outs of this track, but doesn't improve at this moment.
Not this
time.
In
the meantime, no. Alex Torgrosa, by a thread of a needle, improving. So now the gap between P1 and P2 is 300. So
well,
this is becoming.
Sorry, the race hasn't even begun yet, and we're already looking at excitement at the top of the field. And of course, Purcell absolutely waiting in the wings. We know that the Spanish duo have vowed no team orders, and they will be fighting tooth and nail for the championship, but they will also be doing their very best to work that team's championship in their favour as well. Speaking of the championship, I may or may not have actually done a little bit of homework this time and got the championship results so far as we come down towards the end of qualifying. So as you can see, Torgrosa is the one who is pulling away at the head of the championship for the time being by 24 points from his teammate Danny Fernandez. And Purcell too, doing really good work there in third position to keep the leading two honest. Behind them it gets a little bit messy, but Eintema, our champion from last season, doing really good work as well to stay mostly in touch with the leading pair. Massive spin for Mislav Bargo on that curb that 1 second, there we go, that Mali you were talking about just now, and will retire to the pits as Eike goes really wide over it as well.
Meanwhile, time is up, and just to correct you, I'm sure Tim doesn't mind, but he was a vice champion last season.
Oh, he's vice champion, wasn't he?
Yeah, sorry for that, Tim. As Denis Jusic comes across the line, finally set a respectable lap time and jumps even more ahead to P7, 123.811, as Sean Purcell finishes his qualifying 123.190. Alex Torregrossa 122.4, nearly half a second quicker than his Spanish teammate, who is right now negotiating the final few turns of this Italian track as he goes around the U-turn for the final time. Is it going to be an improved lap time?
It is.
Only by a bit. So he is confirming his P2 122.844. Tim Eintema coming across the line looks like a slower lap time. Yeah, it doesn't improve, and that would be it for the quali session. So, pole position Alex Torregrossa, followed by Daniel Fernandez. Once again, the Spanish duo has locked out the front row. Closely followed by Sean Purcell and Sam Butters. Then we have Tim Eintema, Mustafa Akshay. I think it's Akshay.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure we will have someone correct me.
I'm so sorry. I've been pronouncing it wrong the entire time.
No, it's easy thing to do if you're not as much interested into languages as I am. It's fine, I guess. Then we have Denis Yuznic in P7, Mislav Bago P8, P9 Sarv, and Clive Allen in P10 completes the grid for the night. So 10 drivers will start the race. Don't forget that we have a really long run until the first braking zone, and it's getting tight, so I hope no incidents will occur, but I wouldn't rule them out yet because it's a long run, it's getting tight, it has two kinks, so this is really elbows out and may the best man win.
Yeah, absolutely. The way
I hope for a good start from Sean Purcell to challenge the Spaniards in the winning Grand GP team.
Yes, absolutely. The thing is with that long run down to what is essentially the proper run to turn the proper turn one, which is basically that that double right hander at the far end of the track. So we are doing a run right across the width of the track here as the lights start to come on and our cars are retired to the pit lane. The lights go out now and we have a very clean start from all of the drivers concerned, going
That's
side
a stall
by side.
by Mustafa Ake, now dropping into P9 as Sarv and Mislav Bago found their way back, but it's all eyes on Sean Purcell as we are coming to the first braking zone. Seems that Danny Fernandez is taking the lead of this race, but I'm sure Alex Torregrossa will fight back as Denis Yuzhin spins out on the second right-hander and goes towards the back. But Alex Torregrossa is challenging Daniel Fernandez in that right-hander, big braking zone, goes for the inside, but Daniel Fernandez is not giving in as of yet, and we're coming to a left hairpin, so now Fernandez has an inside line into this big braking zone, but it's really easy to overshoot it. However, Daniel Fernandez has a good run and manages to stay in the lead of the first race at Vallelunga. We have Sean Purcell looking to the inside as Alex Torregrossa makes a lockup, so he may fall into clutches of Sean Purcell right now. Clive Allen, in the meantime, appears to be disconnected, so we are down to 9 drivers at this moment. Alex Torregrossa is running wide, he's locking up, he's making mistakes in lap 1. I'm sure he likes the car, but he doesn't like to stare at the back of it, so now it's pretty much stable. I'm trying to find, maybe Tim Eintema will launch onto Sean Purcell, onto Sam Butters, but it seems that Sean Purcell versus Alex Torregrossa is the main fight we're going to be looking at, and surely after last round in Silverstone, if you remember, Alex Torregrossa taking the win from Sean Purcell in the very last lap, I'm sure Sean Purcell is fuming about it and will like to fight back no matter the cost.
Absolutely, and that was a gamble that he took last time out. He was very close to making those tires, those soft tires, last. But just a little bit of bad luck, a little bit of pushing a bit too hard on the tyres, and that is what gave Toro Rosso that win last time out. A lock-up again from Toro Rosso in the second place car in his defence of Purcell. And as you say, it may be that on this particular track, the Spanish team have decided to run a slightly higher downforce setup, and that's what might be causing the problem that Toro Rosso is having. If they have that wing notched up a little bit, then that is going to, running in traffic is going to suck all of the air off of it. So all of that grip that Danny Fernandez is having in the lead here, Toro Rosso is seeing none of it.
Yeah, perhaps that can be the clue. Now I'm watching Tim Einterma to see if he is launching an attack on Sam Butters. He seems to be trying to break from the toe just to show himself in the mirrors of Sam Butters ahead of him, perhaps, but now they have made a gap to Sarv and Mustafa behind. Sarv taking it really wide, but it's a U-turn, it's a consistent radius, so you have a few lines through it, and none of them seem bad, as Sarv really takes the hairpin wide and has a big oversteering moment coming out of it, which leaves a position open to Mustafa as Sarv locks up once again, and Mustafa in the car number 39 makes the move.
That was
now,
beautifully executed.
Sarv is taking different lines through Sector 3, trying to come ever so closely to the car ahead of him, but I'm sure he will be waiting for the main straight, the main chain of corners, as we are coming right now to them, going out of that last corner, and we're going to turn 1, which is a short left kink, then turn 2, a long right-hander. You are sucked in by the camber, which is really lovely. Then turn 3, left kink, and the big braking zones to turn 4 and 5. Mustafa Eike is definitely taking the defense here, and Sarv isn't looking to be for very long behind him. I'm sure he will want to fight back, because he lost the position by his mistake, not by his lack of speed.
Yeah.
So this is where you need to regroup, refocus, and then start plowing your back through again. But that hairpin, as where Sarv just passed on Mustafa, it's really strange, because it's a narrow entry, and it's a blind entry, sorry, and doesn't really have a braking point. So you only improve that corner by going through it like 100 times and trying to find each time, should you push a few meters forward, should you push back a bit, and it's really hard to make it right. It doesn't look challenging at all, but I believe it's the most challenging turn on the track.
Yeah. As once again, Alex Rogrosa, the second place of those two Spanish drivers, are absolutely nailing the lap times. It was Danny Fernandez last time out, and this time it's Toro Rosso, who is very much throwing the gauntlet down. Yes, you may be ahead, but I'm biding my time is the message that comes over the radio when your teammate gets the fastest lap of the race. So Sarv looks to be dropping back a little bit here, and so he has been looking to be locking up those front tyres a little bit when it comes to these heavier braking sections. So maybe he's got his brake bias ever so slightly wrong and either can't adjust it or has set it that way because he needs it, perhaps, with the way that the car is set up. Maybe he was getting oversteer under braking, and that's the very first thing that he can do is have that slight bit of understeer as opposed to oversteer. Around the rest of the field, I tell you what is rather interesting is the two teammates, the 33 and the 34, running around at the back of the field together. Mislav Bargo and Yuznik are Yuznik? Jusnich, thank you. Having their
Need
own.
some refinement, but you're getting there. It's
as
much
I-
easier when it's a neighboring country
Yes, of course.
with nearly the same language.
Yep, that's why I can pronounce Sean Purcell.
Well, the thing is, I can pronounce Sean Purcell too,
Oh yeah,
but you cannot pronounce Denis Jusnich correctly.
Jusnich. Fair. I'll keep trying. But Jusnich and Mislav at the back of the grid, they are struggling with the pace of their cars. This is the problem with having an open setup or even any kind of limited setup kind of race, is that those who are good at getting a car underneath them by setup as opposed to just driving, yeah, they have an abject disadvantage, unfortunately. But that's the way racing goes, and in fairness, I don't like standard setups. I don't like the way the standard setups feel, so I always complain about it if they're on fixed setup and end up slower if they're not.
Yeah, well, it's up to what people
of course.
really like. I mean, I believe I'm in a rare clan of people who like understeering setups, and it's, most of default setups are a bit oversteery for me, and I'm just like, I can't drive this. I cannot simply drive this. And I didn't have that issue in season 1 when we used the beautifully made Dallara F317. I'm not sure about the add-on producer, but once we came with these RSS Formula 3 cars, it was like it was like learning to drive again.
Yeah.
So many spins, so many incorrect maneuvers. I just couldn't get going with it, and we are talking about a vice champion of season 1.
Yeah.
It's really see what can happen with just changing a car. It's not even a change of
No, it's not really a change of car, is
class.
it? Yeah.
It should be a same car or approximately same.
Yeah.
But then ended up being a really different experience. Meanwhile, we are seeing Sean Purcell has dropped back a little. He is losing time steadily to the top 2 Spaniards, but he makes
oh no,
too greedy entry into turn 4, and while rejoining, he has lost P3 to Sam Butler. So at least we will have a battle now for the podium.
Yeah.
As Tim Eintelman is also approaching him now. Sean Purcell goes really wide, and he will mostly be looking at hot tires now, and will try to cool them down as soon as possible as he goes over the curb into that hairpin. What's happening to Sean Purcell? I'm not sure, but Tim Eintelman shall immediately try to get past as we see another lockup, but Tim Eintelman is also having some issues. The rear of his car is stepping out a bit too much for my liking.
That seemed alright through there. Akshay behind was definitely stepping out on the throttle coming out of the hairpin there. Just got eyes on Tim Eintelman at the moment as Danny Fernandez goes quickest for him at a 1:23.8. Just expands the gap by a couple of tenths. But Eintelman, the hunt now on in 5th position. See if he can close down that gap to Purcell in front. And Purcell indeed has got a 2-second gap to gain to Butters in 3rd position, providing his tyres aren't going to stay as hot as they may have been.
No, the thing I'm feeling about the 2 Spanish drivers, Dani Fernandez and Alex Targosa, is that Alex is actually a much more consistent driver. We saw Danny Fernandez making quite a few mistakes last time out in Silverstone, and which eventually costed him even P2. So these small mistakes eventually played a big role. As it seems to me, I'm not 100% confident, but I have a feeling that Alex Torgus is making much less mistakes than Danny Fernandez. Of course, this is talking about them in a known different league. I mean, the gap to P3 at this moment is I don't know,
6.3 seconds.
You need to look in a calendar about it, and then only then you can realize how far off are they. As Danny Fernandez flies across the track and makes the fastest lap of the race, 1:23.621. I believe we will be reaching quali lap times very soon as the fuel starts burning.
Absolutely.
And what's interesting is that the top two are on medium tires, and Sean Purcell, who started P3, is on a hard set of tires. So seems that Sean Purcell is now taking things safe with tires.
Yeah, he can't seem to make the right calls with this championship, can he?
He's just playing. He's just going on safe bets, just taking that. You know, he didn't make a single mistake in Silverstone.
Yeah.
He just made a wrong tire choice, and that's it. Too soft, and wanted them to last too long. It's the only mistake he ever made.
Yep.
So now he's going to hard tires, and we even have a warmer air and asphalt temperature. So we're in Italy, and we have 25 degrees Celsius compared to last week in Silverstone, where we had I believe 13, 14, 15 degrees, something like that. So track conditions are much different, and this track also requires some soft rubber to get that turn in especially come towards the sector 3.
Yes, absolutely.
Alex Torgrosa seems to be launching attacks, trying to send some shenanigans on Daniel Fernandez. Obviously a much different line through that right-hander U-turn. As they're coming through sector 3, we will mostly wanting to look at this braking zone. They're coming up to right now. Okay, so Alex Torgosa made a big lockup, but focus now on suspension of these cars, just to see how big these curbs actually are, and what does it mean to actually take some differently. If you look at the right tire now, you can actually see how bumpy it is, and going that on a full throttle on a car with no traction control, it's ridiculous. I mean, what I like about Vallelunga is that it has these on-camber turns, and I actually like the sector 3, which is really demanding you to stay 100% focused just to hit that right line as you're navigating these U-turns. But at this moment, it seems to be providing us with less interesting racing. However, it seems that Alex Torgrosa is actually gaining and trying to launch an attack on Daniel Fernandez, as Fernandez goes once again wide in this right-hander U-turn. I don't know if he's making mistakes or is this just his planned race line, but it seems that whatever it is, it's not working good, as Alex Torgrosa is gaining and is now really close behind, as he looks to set perhaps the fastest lap of the race. He came just so close to it at the last lap, but now seems to be improving. However, he is stuck behind Danny Fernandez, and but Danny Fernandez can provide him a tow in turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yep. So
what I will say
just
is
see the lap times, what's going on. So Daniel Fernandez 1:23.605, Alex Torgrosa 1:23.609.
line astern, they come across the start-finish line. What was really interesting about Fernandez coming through that final sector is he felt very confident through the S's to actually go on that rumble strip on the right-hand side of the track. I haven't noticed that up until this point. That is an extreme act of bravery and confidence in the car to be able to put it out there and not lose traction under the braking and then accelerating that you do through those S's.
Yeah, this is really an interesting feature of this track. Especially the left-right. I believe that's the one you were talking about.
Yeah, the one they're coming up to after this next hairpin.
Yeah, it's so limited by these sausage curbs that it's high risk, high reward. Let me call it that way.
Up onto the rumble strips again, and that's the thing. Toro Rosso isn't doing that. He's not using that the racetrack that he has. So there is.
Yeah, he seems to be losing his time right there. Even though he makes up a lot of time in Sector 2, Sector 3 is a bit bad for him, as Daniel Fernandez once again sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:23.544, and Alex Torregrossa going personal fastest, 1:23.608. Really, we're basically waiting for a mistake here. We're not.
Yeah. Well, it
doesn't seem like it's moving anytime soon.
No, absolutely. Further down the field, however, Eintema is in contention with Ake at the moment. Let's have a quick look at that as they come down back towards the infield section. Really interesting.
So let's watch the lines through this corner.
Yeah, let's jump on board.
They're unlike Daniel Fernandez and Alex Torregrossa, they have the same line through this long right-hander, and now they're coming to the left hairpin.
Ake goes a little bit wider.
Yeah, he goes wider on the entry, but it's through that hairpin you have camber, and he's trying to launch an attack. Is he going to make a dummy and dive into the inside before this hairpin? No, he doesn't. He goes outside, brakes a bit too late, and gives Tim Eintema the edge. However, we will be looking for a fight come the end of this sector, and just like in the Spanish duo, Tim Eintema actually breaks away by going a bit more riskier through the S's. I believe he also took the rumble strip like Daniel Fernandez did. And this is really amazing to see, because it's really risky to do that on this track. And with so stiff suspension of these cars, it's even more risky. Mustafa Ake has a bit of a moment coming outside that, coming out of the second right-hander, and now they're planting a move on the right-hander. Tim Eintema goes defensive, goes to the inside and holds it. Mustafa has nowhere to go but to stick behind Tim Eintema. As they're going through hairpin, Tim Eintema didn't use the full track width, and for some reason, but he seems to have made that corner much better than Mustafa Ake.
That was a massive lockup into the hairpin just there. Eintema trying to brake and turn, and the car seemingly very unwilling
it seems to me that he's using a lower gear. Once he starts turning in, he downshifts, so he rotates the car a bit more, and that's giving him the edge in the sector 3. Now goes a bit deeper into the last right-hander, but that should give him a much better exit.
Yeah.
And they come across the line.
Meanwhile,
Sean Purcell is purple in sector 2, but we should be looking at Alex Torregrossa and Daniel Fernandez. They're really close. Once again, different lines through the U-turn. Although Alex Torregrossa made, I think, a mistake under braking. They are coming to the left hairpin. Alex Torregrossa sends a dummy, and Daniel Fernandez seems to have responded. He went a bit defensive and changed his line, so both have lost their time a bit. But Alex Torregrossa surely made his intention visible. And they are coming to, I believe, Mislav Bago. Yes, that is Mislav Bago, right ahead of him. So ahead of them both. So let's hope Bago actually that he will let both cars through at the same time, not interfering in this what looks like a championship fight. May I call it this early?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say. And Danny Fernandez is definitely the underdog in this situation at the moment. 24 points adrift of his teammate and good friend in real life. So this is a point of pride at the moment. It may not be a massive pull that or haul of points compared to his teammate that he'll get back, but every little helps with the with these championships, with these races, with it being a double header as well. We know, as we've said before, Fernandez seems to be a lot more content to cut his way through traffic than Toro Rosso.
Oh, Tim Eintelman made a mistake in the entry of the double right-hander and is now falling into clutches of Mustafa Ake. Goes to the inside before the hairpin. Will Mustafa launch an outside move? Yes, he does. Tim Eintelman brakes so much earlier, but goes side by side into the U-turn. Mustafa going outside has nowhere to go but to break away from that fight, sending a dummy to Tim Eintelman, but Tim responds really well to these shenanigans and leaves the fight to Sector 3. Now defensive from both drivers going to the inside as they are going bumper to bumper. Mustafa is taking some wider lines, but they don't really help in Sector 3. Now goes really wide. Let's see through the S's if he
Toro
manages.
Rosso goes fastest. 123.4 for Toro Rosso.
Mustafa Ake has
He's dropped back now, hasn't he?
In Sector 3, but let's cut back to Spanish duo. They're fighting. They're side by side. Oh my god. How could we have missed this?
Okay, here we go. So, as they come back towards the stadium section, side by side, the teammates, we've seen them fight wheel to wheel before. They are absolutely the most respectful, and they make contact.
They made contact. They come together, and Daniel Fernandez is off track, but Alex Torgrosa
will be waiting. There we go.
Slowing down to let his friend and compatriot and teammate back through. So,
but are either of the cars carrying damage? That's the important question. That was always going to be a very difficult maneuver for either of them to pull off. But very, very brave of Toro Rosso to try the outside line into the hairpin, into a decreasing radius hairpin where you have to brake into the corner. Yeah, that's always going to be a difficult one to try and pull off. But now the gap is going to be closed down once again. They come round this long, almost Nürburgring-esque final corner, where with a bit more banking, it suits the cars just that little bit nicer, and the gap opens up ever so slightly. 127 for both of those drivers there. The second car, the 30, losing out by a couple of tenths in the polite action that we're seeing.
Yeah, really polite manners.
Yeah, really good to see. Meanwhile, and I hate to say this, but the Irishman is catching on buses at the moment. He's halved the gap in the past couple of laps from 0.8 to 0.4 of a second, and coming down into the hairpin section.
Sorry to interrupt. Mustafa Ake is launching an attack on Tim Eintelman right now as they're going through the U-turn. Oh, Tim Eintelman slips just ahead of Mustafa of the Turk, and it seems that this story is repeating itself over and over. Mustafa just can't dig his way past through Tim Eintelman, who raced here a bit more times, a bit more often than Mustafa did, and knows the ins and outs of this track for sure.
If anyone can defend the position, it's Tim.
I noticed, I was watching the Spanish fight, and I noticed that Alex Torgrosa is not upshifting to 6th gear at this straight. He's not using the turbo of this car. As you can see him over Daniel Fernandez in 6th gear, And now Alex Grossa, just like if he listened to the stream, he also upshifts to 6 as both go wide, but Daniel Fernandez has lost some time, and Alex Grossa is launching an attack, going around the outside through this corner. Will they come together once again? Seems so clean right now, and Alex Grossa is just managed to skip ahead of Daniel Fernandez. So Alex Grossa once again in the lead of this race. Meanwhile, let's go back to Sean Purcell and Sam Butters. They're coming to the hairpin. So it doesn't look like it will be a fight.
It's not going to
we
be
reach the main straight.
It's not going to be just yet. But Ake and Einsmer came into that first right-hander hairpin side by side. Yes, again, it's the two John Deere cars that are going to be the sources of action, it seems, in the late stages of this race.
Yeah, we will have two more laps, so we are starting the penultimate lap right now as Alex Grossa is leading the way through, but Daniel Fernandez is not really far. He can actually fight back, so he seems too far for now, but if he can stick around through these corners, he can actually rely on Alex Grossa making a mistake. However, Alex Grossa executes this perfectly. Let's cut back to Sean Purcell and Sam Butters. Sean Purcell more confident on their braking as they go through the double right-hander, but doesn't seem like improving at all. Mustafa Ake, in the meantime, is also making some oversteer moments and not managing to dig his way past. Sean Purcell, did he have
He went very sideways in the hairpin. I was on board for it. But that Formula 3 car on the harder tyres is not happy with wherever Sean is inputting at the moment. And that is going to be that battle broken. Unfortunately, Sean Purcell, barring a mistake from Butters, who is no longer under pressure in any way, shape or form, is going to have to settle for fourth in the first of our two races tonight. Meanwhile, Ike trying desperately to find any way past Tim Eintema, but I highly doubt that's going to be found. Eintema is... very different lines there. Eintema had a very late apex, but that will give him a better slingshot onto the straight. The 39 car made a much earlier apex.
And don't forget, it's the last lap.
And this is the fight for the points now. Eintema goes right to the right-hand side of the track. Ake has him on the outside. Eintema locks up, and now he's going to try and do the cutback, and they're going to go side by side on the exit of the double right-hander apex. Eintema is going to lose it over the rumble strips on the outside. Very easy to do on these. To me, cars.
It actually seemed like a contact between Mustafa Ake and Tim Eintema. Actually, I wouldn't blame it because,
no.
Believe it or not, my words have been used in a steward's inquiry.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But for me, it seemed like Mustafa Ake made a slight oversteer.
Yeah.
And actually caught Tim Eintema out.
But
let's put our hands together to Alex Grossa coming out of the last corner to take yet another win. I don't know how many in a row, but Alex Grossa into P1, P2 by Daniel Fernandez. Then we have Sam Butters completing the podium. I believe this is his first podium appearance, as we have Sean Purcell losing out on that one and coming home into P4 now.
Yep.
P5 we have Mustafa Ake, I'm sorry. Tim Eintema coming around the last corner and crossing the start-finish line right now, as we have the Croatian duo in P7 and P8 coming really
formation flying.
What's going on
Beautiful.
with these two guys?
Beautiful.
Dennis Juržić and Mislav Bagu coming really slow across the line and headbutting each other as we are waiting for Sarv to finish his run through Sector 3. I believe My eye caught Sar making an unscheduled pit stop and thus the gap, as he's also taking things really carefully through sector 3, but he will cross the line now to complete the grid and will actually start from the first position once we set off to the next race.
What an interesting prospect for our reverse grid race then. Sarv will be leading the grid away, and then Mislav will be beside him. Yuznik in third. Eintmer will be starting in fourth. A massive, massive boon, perhaps, for his championship hopes. So, for the record, that will be Toro Grossa's fourth win this season already, extending his lead at the top of the championship. It will only be Fernandez's second position. Try and get that out twice. But for Butters taking the last step of the podium, you're absolutely spot on. That will be his first podium of this season. Meanwhile, Purcell in fourth, that he has scored before. He was fourth in Austria in the second round of the championship, but not bad at all for Sean. That's a decent result. But Eintmer also around in fourth position. So a really interesting reverse grid it looks like we're looking forward to. And once again, we're going to be looking at the Spanish pair there at the top of the pit boxes to see how well they can side their way through the 8 other cars that they have to negotiate to get to the top to win the next race out.
Well, I think Jean Purcell and Sam Butters stand with really good odds here to perhaps even fight for a double podium to try and separate the Spaniards.
Yeah.
Also, I believe in Tim Eintema as well. But at the top we will have Sarv, Mislav Bago, Denis Yuznic, then Tim Eintema in P4, Mustafa Akçay in P5. He's not changing his grid position. Sean Purcell into P6, Sam Butters and Daniel Fernandez, as well as Alex Grosso, will be occupying the last places on the grid. So I believe the top 2 were unchanged in the end. Sean Purcell lost a position, and Sarv did lose a few thanks to these unscheduled pit stop.
Yes,
And
I think that's about right.
We have Mislav Bago in the chat complaining about eye allergy and having blurred vision.
Oh, is it?
At the start of the race in the front row.
Oh no.
This is challenging for him. But let's focus on what happens at the race start of race 2. So reverse grid of top 10, which includes basically everyone in this race.
Yep.
For another round of excitement of the last 30 minutes on a track in central Italy, actually not so far off Rome. The Eternal City and an eternal funny track.
Yes.
No puns intended.
It was yeah. Rome circuit. Let's never take that away. The lights are open. We can see that in the center of our screens as they begin to light up. We have 6 screens across. Oh, rolling away already. I wonder if that's going to be a jump start come the actual start. And Sarv gets a massive boost from the start. Give me a second. As there we go. Sarv through to turn 1 already. Purcell dropping way back down. There we go. And just about defending his position. We've gone around the double right hairpin.
And that's Mislav Bago slowing down he doesn't quite want to interfere in this fight, so he's
Yeah.
already in the last place.
Toro Grossa going properly aggressive on the inside of his teammate, Danny Fernandez. Fernandez having to go wide in avoidance, so someone's obviously been taking my comments to heart. However...
Oh, it looks like a beginning of a pile-up with Sean Purcell, as both Alex Torgrosa and Daniel Fernandez have digged their way through, but Sean Purcell is fighting back, hanging on that inside of the first U-turn, coming to the beginning of Sector 3. It's bumper cars
Yep.
into this very tight section of traffic, as he has a minor oversteer moment and falls into clutches of Sam Butters right now. So it's an instant midfield for Danny Fernandez and Alex Torgoso. So now I believe they have Mustafa right ahead of them. If I'm not, no, it's Denis Yuznic,
yep,
who also made a good start from P7 to P4. Very well done to him as well. They are, as Daniel Fernandez is actually launching an attack on Denis Yuznic already, and that's P4 for Fernandez, as Alex Torgrosa will have to have to wait for a while. This is a team battle, so Daniel Fernandez will try to do everything just to break away from his teammate, I'm sure, and he won't fall back to any issues, as Alex Torgosa launches an attack going side by side with Denis Yuznic, but Yuznic actually fends him off. Oh, and that's a contact with Sean Purcell and Sam Butters. I believe that was an overshot braking by someone. I didn't see what actually happened, but Sean Purcell lost the most of it, as Sam Butters is...
Sam Butters right absolutely gained from that.
Sorry, Alex Torgrosa. I'm not entirely sure what happened, so I'm sorry about this. Meanwhile, we have Mustafa Ake into P1, leading this Grand Prix. I'm not sure what happened to Sar. Was it just a loss of focus?
It could be.
He had a really slow Sector 1, so that could have been a strong fight with someone. So into P2 we have Sarv, and P3 is Tim Eintenma under attack by Daniel Fernandez. Tim Eintenma goes really wide, opening the inside to Fernandez, but Fernandez is being nearly caught out by the oversteer of this car now into the inside of this famous U-turn already. We have a slight lockup by Daniel Fernandez. Tim Eintenma doesn't have the pace to go around the outside of the Spaniards, so into P3 goes Daniel Fernandez, while his teammate is in P7. Now this is a challenge for Alex Torgrosa. If he can fight back, and even if he can fight and finish ahead of Daniel Fernandez, I'm sure we can actually, after this race, celebrate the champion. But let's not get our heads too...
Purcell is struggling, it seems. He's had an off on the entrance to the hairpin complex. That car is not behaving how he would like, it seems.
Perhaps there was some damage with in a contact with Sam Butters.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, Mustafa Ake pulls out a 124, what was that, 6 that I just saw come up on the timings?
3.
124.3. That's up there with the race pace of Fernandez and Torgrosa last time out, was it not?
I believe they were doing high 123s, but at this moment Mustafa is the fastest, and Daniel Fernandez is now coming to a roadblock of Sar. I'm sure Sar will not just step aside and let Daniel Fernandez through.
No.
So Danny will lose some time while Mustafa is in clean air, but Denis Yuznic is also really close to Tim Eintenma at this moment. So fights are opening for, well, this is actually a top 3 fight.
Yes.
Considering that Alex Torgosa has a lot of to gain, but Sar has a oversteer moment and lets Daniel Fernandez, Tim Maintema, Denis Juznic, Sam Butters, and Alex Targosa through. So he drops to P7 right now. Not a really good result for now.
Yeah.
As he goes into the pits. Perhaps, I'm not sure. Let's wait and see. So it's free air for Daniel Fernandez to try and gain as much time as possible to Mustafa and also try to break away from his teammates. So Alex Targos is now running 9 seconds behind Mustafa Ake and
as Eintema runs
nearly 7 behind his teammate.
Eintema runs off the track on the exit of the double apex right-hander and will concede his 3rd position to not only Juznic but Butters as well. Almost to Butters, but he now has the inside for this left-hand hairpin, and that will consolidate the position, it seems. But Torregrossa now is waiting in the wings to try and dispose of Eintema and Butters them both. Not in the right position yet for Torregrossa to make his move, but he's a man on a mission tonight. He must be fuming inside that car.
I believe so, yeah.
This is the time when it's dangerous for any driver, really, is you've just had a massive accident, you've been pushed down from where you should have been, and suddenly you've got it all to do. Danny Fernandez with a 124.3 going faster just than Ake in that previous lap, as it looks like Torregrossa is just following closely at the moment, see where he's going to be able to make the attack against Eintema best. Right now, as Eintema stays in the middle of the track and then drifts over to the racing line, you can see so many tyre marks from where people have had locking up incidents into that hairpin. It really is difficult coming off of such a long straight.
Yeah, what we forgot to pinpoint of Sam Butters versus Tim Maintema, I think it's the first time for this evening that we actually saw this move around the outside in the long right-hander in the U-turn. Actually a successful move. Oh, that's a big dive by Alex Torgosa in the late one as he manages to bump his way through, but has an oversteering moment and lets Tim Eintema now, as Tim Eintema goes wide. This is some proper race line blocking, but Tim Eintema can have a better run through the last corner right now and going into the toe of Alex Torregrossa.
Is this going to be the second pass that we see into the double right-hander at the bottom of the field? The 17 car is looking racy. Alex Torregrossa is not going to try and block, but now the 17 has got it side-by-side under braking. The 30 tries to go around the outside. Oh, big wiggle from the 17, and there's a pink car in the middle of the road. They have to...
Oh my god, a random pink car appears. That was Denis Juznic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he was in a fight with someone, but that shook up the order as Alex Torgosa is now in a perfect position to pass Sam Butters for P4, and Tim Eintema has just rejoined. Sean Purcell is not really far off after that incident in the beginning, as Mislav Baga goes ahead of Denis Juznic. So Denis Juznic in one corner went back from P3 to, I believe, P8 now.
P8 at the moment,
Sar is still in the pits. I'm not still.
I think that's a retirement.
Sure,
that is.
It's a retirement.
Yeah, I can't click on. Oh, I can click on his name. Yeah. But
no, you wouldn't be able to click on his name if he was disconnected. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Being in the pits, he might be under a long repair.
That would be really unfortunate for him, actually. But Torregrossa now. So this is really interesting. So Torregrossa, as he comes across the line, has got a, roughly speaking, 15-second gap that separates him from his teammate at the moment. And with that gap, you have to wonder if this is remotely possible. We've got 20 minutes, nothing is impossible here. But I don't think with Ake having that clear air out in the lead. Whoa, as Toro Grosso massively overshoots the hairpin. I wasn't... I was about to say that was a really good move, and the car just kind of didn't stop. So Toro Grosso now making mistakes, getting inside his own head, looking at the back of that John Deere car of Butters in front of him, just forgetting where he was supposed to be braking. And if anything, he's really, really lucky there to escape without an incident involving Butters. I mean, that would be really unfortunate for him to have taken them both out, but it was a very, very big risk there that he was completely caught unawares by.
I don't know what happened, because it's not that Sam Butters broke and Alex Torgosa broke a bit too late. It's that you saw Sam Butters braking, nearly stopping, and Alex Torgosa just sends a flying one, and then, I don't know, 3 or 4 seconds later he starts braking.
Yeah.
It was mental.
It looks like he completely forgot where he was braking, or that he forgot that he had an overspeed from being in the tow of Butters in front, or it was that he was on the wrong side of the track and just had nowhere near as much grip as what he thought he was going to have. But that will have cooked his front tyres, and that will put pay to his attack for the time being. Rest assured, Toro Grosso will be back for that position, but someone who has definitely gained some time is Fernandez in second place at the moment. Ake, be it through native pace or through a mistake, is now down to just 0.5 of a second to the good of Fernandez, and this is your genuine fight for the lead. Make no mistakes, there's no pit stops or anything that needs to be taken into account of. This is a pure fight for position. As they come across the line, the 29 car has a ridiculous amount of pace, and Fernandez, having run in the draft of Toro Grosso last time out, has got some experience running in the tow of other cars, as Toro Grosso goes 1:23.7 for the fastest lap of the race so far. Gets it back to under a second.
He is fuming. You can see it. You can see it. You can see that he will. Well, he's surely disappointed with what he did a few laps ago, but he will be looking to gain, and that's a podium place for him if he manages to find his way through. But let's jump on board with Daniel Fernandez through Sector 3 just to see the amazing lines Fernandez is taking through these corners. So, left U-turn goes a bit deeper, but then watch this. He goes fully outside, takes that curve, then goes fully left to the sausage and fully right to the sausage, just narrowly escaping both of them, which will surely send you spinning out as he takes more speed into the U-turn, sticking a bit closer to the inside and out on the complex of corners they are going. Seems that Ake is running less downforce, may I say, as Daniel Fernandez is not gaining at all in this
No,
in the draft.
It's fairly obvious that Fernandez is running a higher downforce setup. As they open the DRS wing, the yellow car in front kind of disappears, definitely holds its advantage, but now we come into the way big lockup for Fernandez. Now we come into the much tighter section. You'll see that under throttle, Fernandez is able to just get it down a little bit earlier and just tuck into those apexes. Look at how much tighter he's able to run behind the John Deere car of Ake. And now coming into the big complex that is so tight and technical, much wider line for Fernandez. He's got all of the grip on those wheels coming off of that wing. And again, just all of the confidence when he puts his foot on the floor, he knows it's going to grip. As what on earth is going on my PC? No, that's fine. It just kind of dropped to 20 FPS for a couple of seconds there. Sorry about that, everybody. But coming across the line once again, and this is a very interesting stalemate for Ake and Fernandez in 1 and 2, and it explains why Ake's times have been so quick now that he's running in clear air.
Yeah, truly, he's really finding back and forth, finding ways to dig ahead of the 39 car, but doesn't really seem to have an edge once we come to a straight. I mean,
oh, Fernandez doing the same as his teammate did, and just completely missing his braking zone. Although, in fairness, I don't think that was so much missing his braking zone as seeing how late he could push it as the 29 car looks to the outside of the 39. Never going to happen there, and this is the point where they start to slow each other up. 39 car is having to go defensive because massive defensive driving now coming from Eike. Now that he knows...
This is really good driving, not...
Oh, it's superb. Oh, no, this is superb defensive.
He's overslowing the curb. He actually tells Daniel Fernandez, so do you want to pass me? Okay, go outside.
Yep. If you want to do this, I'm gonna make it hard, and that is absolutely the best driving. As you can see how much the 29 car closes up on the turn. That is definitely a low drag setup for Ake there. And across the line they come, and now really tucked up right underneath the rear wing of the 39 is Fernandez, who takes the outside line. Really peculiar if it was ever going to happen there. The 39 goes massively defensive, but the extra wing on the 29 allows him to stick it out around the outside. And how confident is the 29 in a straight line? Oh!
That's a moment by Daniel Fernandez narrowly missing Mustafa Ake and potentially dropping him out of the fight for the win.
But is it now a fight for second through to fourth as we look back to Butters and Torregrossa? Torregrossa picking the outside line with Butters defending on the inside. Textbook move, but Torregrossa doesn't have the line. Butters is going to defend up the inside, but Butters, like his teammate, it seems, is running a lower downforce setup, which is what has kept them ahead for so long. But now that we're getting into the twisty section and Torregrossa has that leg up on the yellow car, the which car is it? It's the 40. Has
it's
not
the 40 car,
got an answer for
MB Racing.
For the 30. Really unfortunate there for Butters, but a brilliant defense. But
yeah,
now
so it seems that the green and yellow cars are running less downforce compared to black and yellow cars running higher downforce. It's symptomatic.
Yes.
But Alex Torregrossa finally found his way through, and now is in clean air. Now let's see what lap times can he bring us. Can he be faster than his teammate, as he's also in the mix? In the fresh air.
Yep. Yep, both of the Spaniards in fresh air now. They can run their lap times. They've got no markers around them, so they can just run as fast as they can. And Jean Purcell is going on to look up the inside of Eintema. This is for 5th position. The 7 breaks early, not confident enough to stick it up the inside of the 17, but is going to try and make it good on the exit. Goes around the outside, puts Eintema off his line, and now, as we've seen so many times, that inside line for this next hairpin turn is all important. Trying to break as they turn in. The 7 makes the position for the time being, but Eintema must have, as he just sweeps wide and loses any traction.
Is actually on medium tires. What's really interesting is that the top 4 are all on mediums. Then we have Team Eintema dropping to P6 and mediums, and Jean Purcell and the rest below. Team Eintema sends a dive and moves aside to let Jean Purcell through. I'm sure that's a fair move.
Yeah, I think that was a fair overtake, honestly, on Eintema's part. That was very polite, perhaps more so than he needed to be.
Yeah, I can agree. I can surely agree.
But it's better to be too fair than not fair enough, and find that you're ending up with a post-race penalty, because now as Butters gets into some clear air, we have the top 3 in the championship in 2, 3 and 4 at the moment. not in their championship orders, so Fernandez at this point in time will take some points away from his teammates' lead. But Sean Purcell here, oh no, I'm sorry, Sean Butters is the fly in the ointment for that particular call. Sorry, it was the S that threw me off there. Purcell has just got to make his way 10 seconds in arrears of Butters in the other John Deere car. So Butters having a really good evening tonight. From where he is currently in 12th in the championship, it'll be a third and a fourth as it stands, which will push him a long way up the championship tables. As around that gap, he is. There's not a lot of points in it, so there's a lot of positions to be made up by Butters here tonight.
Meanwhile, the lap time battle is on. Daniel Fernandez setting personal best 123.515, but Alex Targos is smashing the competition. Fastest lap of the race, currently 123.376. He might even break into 122s once he gets rid of more fuel.
Yep.
Now this is quality lap times,
and that's what
they are both trying to make their way back. I think that Daniel Fernandez actually stands a chance of having another go at Mustafa Akay, because he's nearly a second faster than him, and 6.6 seconds is the gap between the top two. So once Mustafa Akay comes across the line, he will look at best at some 6 laps. At the present pace of both cars, Daniel Fernandez is still
in
a striking distance of Mustafa Akay, but Alex Grossa is definitely not. I think from now on, unless there are some mistakes at the top, I think he's looking forward to consolidate his third position. Daniel Fernandez quickest in Sector 3. We know he's the quickest in Sector 3, but he just never fails to amaze us as he goes. 23.9, that's half a second quicker than Mustafa Akay.
Wow.
This is where we saw, Daniel Fernandez taking all of the curbs, all of the sausages, just all of the track width, which is not really there.
He is a honey badger. You don't care.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm watching their sector times because that's currently the most interesting piece of fight. In Sector 1, they are pretty much matched. Even Mustafa is actually enjoying a bit of advantage there, probably due to his low drag setup.
Absolutely.
But Sector 3 is where the Spaniards start to smash, particularly Daniel Fernandez.
How is Akay's Sector 2 time compared to the two behind him?
So, Akay just did 31.8, Daniel Fernandez 31.4, and Alex Targosa 31.3.
Huh.
So Alex Targosa is half a second quicker in Sector 1, and Sector 3, Mustafa is doing 24.4, Daniel Fernandez and Alex Targosa doing 24.1.
Wow. They really are catching him hand over fist. We're seeing Fernandez on our screens at the moment. The gap behind him is fairly stable, but the gap in front is coming down. It's come down by a second in the last lap.
Yes, absolutely. But it seems that Daniel Fernandez is starting to lose some pace, because he set a 123.7, so he's in high 23s, and Mustafa is also increasing speed, is in mid 24s. So now the gap per lap will hopefully stabilize. I think Daniel Fernandez at best has only one shot, and that shot will be in the last lap of this race.
Absolutely.
Potentially, if Mustafa overslows Daniel Fernandez, Alex Targosa might join the mix, and they too can fight it off, because it's only 4.5 seconds between the two Spanish drivers.
So what you're saying is, and what I'm hearing as someone who's pretty decent with numbers, is providing their lap times are fairly stable and there are no mistakes, commentator curse has already been affected. We should be looking for a 1 lap dash for the cash, basically.
Yes, basically, yeah, that would be the case, as Daniel Fernandez just set his personal best 123.4, Mustafa 124.3, so everyone is improving, apart from Alex Torregrosa, who seemed to have made a mistake.
I was going to say.
And runs on 23.8, but is still quicker than the leading drivers, so...
that's really interesting, actually, because
it's consistency that will win this race. It's not outright speed, and I'm really rooting for the underdog here.
The underdog has got a big fight on his hands, though, as Fernandez now at 3.8 seconds adrift. He's taken it down by 1.5 seconds in this lap. The Spaniard has got the bit between his teeth and is going for it. We're going to jump on board with him. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to jump on board with him as he comes through the final sector, and let's watch the Spaniard in action as he comes across the line. There is his quarry up ahead. The yellow car standing out amongst the black and green.
Oh my god, Daniel Fernandez is setting to smash the fastest fastest race lap, so 123.380, just 4 thousandths of a second short of the fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, Mustafa 124.5. The gap is now 3 seconds, so
yep.
Looks like there will be 3 laps to go. So this one and another 2 laps. This just falls into my prediction of having a last lap fight between Fernandez and Mustafa Akai.
Yep. And the other thing to consider is when Fernandez gets into clear air, it's going to be really interesting It's going to be really interesting to see how his pace slows when he gets into the aero wash of the yellow car in front.
Yeah. Alex Torregrosa is losing. He seems to be making mistakes, so he's actually only a few tenths short of Mustafa at the top, so he won't be joining this fight unless a major event occurs. But let's see the gap at the line. Gap is 1.9 seconds as Daniel Fernandez goes another second quicker than the driver ahead of him.
Yep.
2 laps to go. 1 second per lap is the gain.
And we are absolutely counting down to a last lap battle as Fernandez is looking set to hit the second gap to first and actually hit the leader, metaphorically speaking of course, on the last lap. And he will have no more than half a lap to try and execute a pass to take the lead and actually close that gap that we just saw. As he gets a massive kick of oversteer, 1.6 seconds out, that aero wash is starting to just affect that front end of the car and unbalance it into the first of the never-ending hairpins that form this Vallelunga circuit. We should all be very well aware of what's going on here now, as Fernandez gets into the apex beautifully and again will run right to the curves to the outside. Supreme confidence in the grip of the car.
Both drivers at their respective best laps right now. This is amazing to see as they're coming out to the last corner for the final time. What will help Mustafa Akai is his Sector 1 speed. The gap is 1.1 seconds and they will be matched through Sector 1. So the best shot of Daniel Fernandez is something in the middle of Sector 2, perhaps beginning of Sector 3, or a last corner launch on Mustafa Akai. So the gap is 1.1 seconds at the beginning of this lap and Sector 1. Let's see the lap times. Mustafa is 1/10 quicker through Sector 1 than Daniel Fernandez.
Fernandez made a
because
mistake.
of that mistake.
Yep.
By clipping the grass by Fernandez, but let's watch Sector 2 as Daniel Fernandez has gained most of his time here, and
watch the time in the top left.
Yes, yeah, we
Keep
are
an eye on that.
watching. So I'm waiting for them to come across the Sector 2 split, which happens before this hairpin. The gain is half a second once again through Sector 2, and both are on their best lap times.
It's going to be one attempt and one attempt only that Fernandez has.
Yeah.
Coming through the S's. The gap.
It's coming really close, really close.
Does Eike defend? He does. He goes to the inside. Can he do it under the throttle? Perhaps across the start-finish line. This is going to be a fight for the finish. And he tucks out of the slipstream, and it's just going to be Eike for the win. Absolutely astounding drive from Danny Fernandez, proving,
beautiful,
as always, the class of the field. And what else is there to say other than well done to that 29 car? It was a hell of a race.
Absolutely.
First of all, congratulations to the underdog. Mustafa Eike, you have done yourself proud, and an absolutely glorious win for the yellow and green cars, as Butters has parked it, and Jusnic will come across the line to complete the orders, I think. But yes, congratulations. First position will be Mustafa Eike. Ooh, come on, where's it gone? That one doesn't work. Second will be Danny Fernandez. Alex Torregrossa will take home third. Sam Butters will take home fourth. Sean Purcell will take home fifth. Eintema sixth. Mislav in seventh. Jusnic in eighth. And Sav will come home in ninth. I will have a very quick look in the ready to interview room, and straight into the box we have Tim Eintema. Interesting evening for you, Tim. Tell us about it from your perspective.
First race was good. I think I had a little bit too much wing on my car, because I kept on getting caught by the people behind me on the straights, and then in the corners I usually had to defend, and then I couldn't really use the extra wing I had. So that was a bit difficult, but I had a lot of fun. So
excellent. That's great to hear. Race 2. The reverse grid throwing up all sorts of surprises and all sorts of challenges for yourself as well as everyone else, really.
Yeah, a bit messy in the second race. I made one mistake myself. I hit the curb, I think, with my right rear in a fast corner. I had to counter steer, and then I went off. And then, like a few laps later, I went off again because I had to avoid someone who just spun.
Yes, we were watching you. We were watching you when that happened as well. That was Jusnic that spun in front of you.
Yeah, shit happens, you know. And then I think I got a loft tap from Alex as well. He went just a little bit deep into a very slow, tight corner. I think I left him enough space, and then he damaged my front wing a little bit, and that gave me a bit of understeer. And I was mostly just during the race struggling with the chicane.
Yes, no, absolutely. So, not necessarily. I'm not going to say a night to forget. It was a really interesting and well fought fight for you this evening, and you can be happy with those results, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a lot more happy than if I were to drive around in third for lap after lap without actually seeing anyone. So this was a lot more fun.
Brilliant.
And I also think that fifth or sixth is probably where I should aim in the championship. I'm just not fast enough around the tracks. So
that's just it. Yeah, these things do happen, and it has been a very different set of tracks up until now. And to jump back into an old challenge, should we say, is a bit of a different experience.
At least I was faster than previous year.
Yeah.
Where were you?
Yeah, I was. Previous year I set a 14.2 as fastest lap, probably in qualifying, I think. And then this year I managed to set a 1:23.6, I think it was.
Awesome. So you have improved yourself. It's just that the pack has improved more.
I guess so, yeah. And just the setups probably gave me the extra time, but I just can't get the car to behave perfectly. In the chicane, I continuously have to watch out for oversteer on turn in, and then I would usually be out of position for the exit, and that would cost me a lot of time every single lap.
Yeah, absolutely. These things happen. It's the risk that comes with different setups, isn't it? Really, you have the option,
Yeah,
but you
true.
also have the option to mess it up.
Yeah, true, and it feels like when you start behind everyone, like if you're slow at first, it's very difficult to get it back during the season because everyone will be improving.
Yeah,
At least that's what it feels like.
everyone's just getting their touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, Mally.
So 3 seasons out of 3 at Vallelunga, and
Yeah.
next week it's a third in a row at Mugello. What are your hopes for that one?
I hope I'll be a little bit faster there. Maybe get some overtaking done instead of getting overtaken continuously. But we shall see. I think previous year Mugello wasn't too bad for me, but I'm not sure. Can't remember.
No, it's been a
Me
while.
neither, but yeah. I think
It
it's
has
the
been.
first race Ike was commentating on.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Could be.
I definitely don't remember that then. I have casted quite a few races since then.
Yeah.
But there you go.
True.
Nonetheless, thank you for popping into the box. Congratulations on getting decent results from both races, and hopefully they'll have a bit of a more successful evening come next week.
Yeah, sure. It was a lot of fun, so that's the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Been a pleasure, Tim. Hopefully speak to you next week.
Yo, until next week.
Take care, Tim.
Next into the comm box, we have the pleasure of taking the winner of the first race tonight, Alex Saragosa. A hard-fought victory for your first race, and a hard-fought what ended up being third place in the second race. Tell us about your evening.
Well, yeah, thank you. By the way, we knew it was going to happen. We were practicing the last week, and we knew this was going to be, I think, the hardest track to make fights. We could actually say it because I had I think I had a lot of contacts with drivers. I think I still have to learn about. And well, I think I just like I just go as fast as possible. I know the second race I got spun on the rear. I will review later. I think it was actually my fault anyway.
Mm.
Uh, I just tried to push as hard as I could, and third place. This is well, it's actually my worst result in all the season overall.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was a very, as you say, it's a very difficult track. It's a difficult track generally. It's an even worse track to try and actually overtake on.
Yes.
Yeah. But nonetheless, you walk away from this week still in the championship lead, leading your teammate from in second position, and you've got to be eyeing up the possibility of winning the championship quite confidently now. It's not in your grasp yet, but it's getting there, isn't it?
Well, I think it's a little bit too early to call it. My teammate is fast as well, so it's gonna be close. Simple Cell is fast. I feel so pity for the incident it happened at the second race, and I think my congratulations to Mike, by the way. He's done an absolute perfect race for the second one. He held it. He just had to make his pace, and he held the race.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him. I think they're fast drivers. The thing is, uh, we're confident with technical circuits, but we're not as fast on I would say I think there's no more technical circuits around the calendar anymore, so it's gonna be hard to keep the leading. Sorry.
I see. So not looking forward to the rest of the. So we've seen a very big display from both of you of your pace, but you think that might be waning off in the latter stages of the season?
Yeah, it might get closer to the end of the season.
Gotcha. Well, we'll take that and clip that for the rest of the field to give them some encouragement, shall we? You've been an absolutely exemplary this season so far, and for both you and Danny, not only of just outright speed, but proper professionalism and gentlemanly driving. When we've seen you in fights, when you've been making contacts, you've been slowing up. You slowed in the first race. You both made contact together, but you've been, even when it's not necessary, you've both been the absolute epitome of what we expect from AOR drivers, and it's really fantastic to see. So once again, congratulations. Thank you very much for being a great representative.
Thank you. I can say something like because we started the race and I was fighting for at the start for the first position, and then I just thought it's pointless right now. I think we could get to distance with the other guys and then fight together. And because I did that, it allowed me to slow down because uh, we kind of have a rule that we're gonna wait for the other, but if it's gonna affect the position, you just keep going. So because we had a gap behind, I was able to slow down for him.
Of course. But yeah, as I say, you have been exemplary with your driving, both of you. So please pass your regards on to Danny in that regard as well. But yeah, congratulations on the first race. Commiserations, I guess, on the second race. But still a fantastic evening of racing for you. Mally, have you got any questions?
No, just to say thank you for clean racing, and we saw a perfect example of drivers showing respect when you tangled with your teammates. So just compliments on that, and hope to see you in a week.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just making a statement here that I just want to remind that it's not easy to keep it clear in normal conditions. In this track, it was even worse.
Yeah.
So I think all the incidents we had, I think everyone's going to review that, but I think I don't see like a major issue. I think I'm gonna leave it as a racing incident for the ones I had.
Brilliant. Cool. All right. Well, as I say, congratulations. I hope you had a lovely evening of racing, and we'll see you next week out at Mugello.
Yeah, see you, Magello.
See you, mate.
See ya.
So, two stints of racing, and the action was non-stop, even when the action wasn't side by side. There was always that promise of action coming up. Manly, you got any thoughts from the evening?
Well, unlike what people might think of Vallelunga, I always love to come back here, and as I previously mentioned, it's a 3 out of 3 in our race calendars, and next week we are moving to Mugello, but just a bit north of the current track. So uh, I believe close to Florence is Mugello.
Yep.
So another fun track, another great flow, and I believe we are set to see some more good racing in a week's time. Meanwhile, we will probably be looking forward to merge two tiers and probably bring up more drivers in this mix. So
It's
possibly creating a more attendance and more interesting fights to see all around the track.
Yep. So we'll cover that when we actually come to Mugello. But if you see a lot more cars on the track, that'll be why we'll be consolidating the two tiers into one. Still, they will be fighting for their Tier 1 and Tier 2 championships, but
Yeah,
they will be doing it on the same race. We're having multi-class in Assetto Corsa.
On the same class of cars.
Yeah, kind of.
Like a Pro-Am.
Pro and Pro-Am, that's it, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Yep, so to round out a night of racing down here at Vallelunga, I have been Eike Sky, and I have been joined, as always, by the venerable Baćo. And I tell you what, I'm going to be back here tomorrow evening with Tier 1 of the Assetto Corsa Competizione GT3 League. But until then, I hope everybody has a lovely evening, and we will see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.